Hello everyone! Ollie and I are currently sitting in my vehicle on top of a mountain in Revelstoke BC. So the plan right now, why we're sitting in the vehicle, is because it's raining. So I'm just kind of waiting for the rain to ease off. But my plan for this shoot is a self-portrait in an area that I have already photographed. I should say, actually, this was last year and I didn't get enough time to spend creating any images like I wanted to. I was able to get just this one shot before I was swallowed by this fog and the rain that came with that fog. So the plan is, fast forward 1 year later, I'm back up here again, and now I'm going to have a chance to spend a lot more time with posing and hopefully long exposures and just seeing what I can create, because after rain, when it starts to break through, we all know what happens. Usually really crazy light comes out and the conditions should just be amazing. I love photographing in this weather. So yeah, I'm gonna head out soon out of the vehicle. Me and Ollie are gonna go, it's a little tiny bit of a hike to get to where I want to, but nothing too crazy. We have bear spray. I'm not gonna get eaten by a grizzly bear today. And we are gonna go out and create some images. So let's go. So I have now made it to where I want to shoot. It's honestly like a 2-minute walk. It's not even really that much of a hike, but the weather has changed drastically. So before, it was actually pouring rain. It was completely gray. All the trees were covered in this fog and rain, and now obviously the sun came out. Things have changed, but they almost changed a little bit too quickly that now it's just turning into a bluebird day. So there's a lot of blue sky out right now and then half cloud. While I'm filming, I actually do my photography first so that I make sure I get that shot. And then I do the explaining, the B-roll, all that other stuff. It's just much easier to guarantee that you get a shot so that you're not kind of waiting while you're doing all this talking and conditions are changing, and it just makes it a lot more complicated. So I have gone with a white dress today. I went with the white because there is the blue sky with the clouds, and I just didn't feel that any other color of dress would have matched with this sky. This is kind of what I'm working on right now with my selfies, is making sure that the color of dress that I'm wearing really works with the landscape, because I want it to feel very organic. I don't just want a big pop of color sticking out like a sore thumb. So I went with white. I sat on this rock again. I love sitting. I love the sitting positions. And there was a little bit of light that was actually nicely painting on my face, so I looked towards the sun for this shot. I have to do a little bit with most of my self-portraits. Sometimes you don't always get the posing right, and sometimes the dress might be a little lumpy in some places, or my leg or my arm kind of sticks out a little bit funny. So I do kind of manipulate things like this in Photoshop, where I might fix the dress or I might make the dress bigger. I have a lot of hair, but I always actually make my hair bigger. I make it a little bit more full, especially up here on the top. So little things like that I tweak in Photoshop if I didn't quite get the pose right. So that's kind of one thing to remember if you are doing self-portraits. Obviously get it right in camera, but there are ways to fix things if you mess up on the posing. I didn't have that much time with the clouds. I got, for this shot I did with the clouds in the sky, I did a long exposure. Half of it is cloud and then half of it is blue sky. So not exactly the look that I was going for, but it's not terrible. I can work with the blue sky. What I was hoping for was just to have the sky fully covered in cloud, and then when I did the long exposure, it would look all crazy and moody and dramatic. Now the wind has picked up, so it kind of does seem like things are moving a lot more quickly now, but the clouds actually weren't moving that much in my shot, and I was shooting at f/22 to have a longer shutter speed, and I was going for about 30 seconds with a 10 stop. That is about the max that I could go. You can kind of see some movement, but just slight, just it looks a little smooth. Then after, I changed into my dress and I shot myself on the rock, and I shot that at f11, and my shutter speed, it was around 1/60th of a second, I think. It was enough to get a still shot, but if there was movement in like my hair or my dress, I may have wanted to have a faster shutter speed. And both images that I combined together are both shot at ISO 100. The rock that I have been doing these portraits on is perfect. It's big, it allows for good sitting positions, it allows for good standing, and you could probably even lay on it. I haven't done any laying poses yet. Sitting seems to be my favorite because I love working with the legs, but this rock is perfect. It has a nice slant that allows your body to be up a little bit higher, and then when your legs point down, it just looks more elegant, more just looks better. It looks better to have the feet nice and pointed and the legs nicely extended versus if the rock was flat and you sit on your butt and you stick your legs out. It looks a little funny. So I am shooting with my wide angle lens. I'm shooting with a 16-35 and I'm in the mountains. The mountains are massive, they're huge, there's lots of foregrounds to work with. So of course you could come up here and you could always shoot at 16, at the widest you can possible. But for this shot, I actually shot it at 35. So I pulled back my camera away from the rock that I'm shooting and I zoomed into 35. This helped eliminate the yucky bits on the edge of the frame that just, they don't make sense to be in the image. They don't need to be in the image. It's just too much. And it really helped focus on the rock, the subject, and then the mountains were still nice and large in the background. And of course the clouds, you could see a lot of clouds. But this is another thing I am personally trying to work on because I am a very proud wide angle lens shooter. And I definitely know when to shoot at 16. But for a lot of scenes, if you are out practicing with a wide angle lens, make sure that you look at images through, say, the focal length of 35. That's just what mine goes to, but yours might be different. Because you'll be surprised. Even though you want wide and you really want to fit everything in, you don't always want that. Distractions can really ruin an image, and always kind of go with the mindset of less is more. So what I'm going to do now, since the wind is picking up, just down the road, this is a huge logging road that I'm on, by the way, but just down the road, along where it kind of turns into clear cuts and the views open up, there's a lot of wildflowers still in bloom. So my goal now is to head down there. This probably have about 10 minutes of driving down the road and shoot what I can that's left of the wildflowers, because we are in the end of August, so they're pretty much done for. No more is probably going to be in bloom. The ones that are out now are kind of starting to wilt and die, and I need to make sure that I get as much wildflower photography in as possible every year. So I have now made it down the mountain. I'm kind of just on the side of the logging road, and this is where I have found the best bloom of flowers is it is actually along the road. It's kind of on a slant. It is very challenging to shoot. I have a shot from this area from last year that I really like. But this year, I'm struggling to photograph the flowers up here. I don't know if it's just that I keep coming when it's windy, and with the main flower in bloom is fireweed, and fireweed is really tall, and it's not really a stable flower, so it blows a lot in the wind. I am struggling to photograph it. I've decided that since it is pretty much full sun, windy, not the best shooting conditions, I'm just going to spend time playing around with my camera. I'm still using my 16-35, but I'm going to shoot handheld. I do have it on a tripod right now because I just finished a shot that I was kind of playing around with, but I'm actually shooting things that I normally wouldn't shoot, mainly when I come out here to photograph flowers. I'm sure you all know I get really close to the foreground and have some sort of big mountain scene in the background. I am changing things up a little bit and playing around with different apertures. I'm shooting at f4 on my 16-35, so that's a little different from my usual f11, f16, and I think that this is what photography is all about. I think that we need to remember we need to shoot for ourselves and for our own personal growth and challenge ourselves to do things that we are not comfortable with doing. Here is the final image from this shoot. I am pretty happy with how this one turned out. I actually don't have much to say about it. The only thing that I wish was that there was a little bit more cloud and more cloud moving throughout the mountains with that little fog layer. I just think that would have helped make this shot so much more dramatic than what it is, but I do like it kind of simple, just exactly what it does look like. I do prefer it in a 4x5 crop, and the 4x5 crop is actually what I will be posting on Instagram, so if you go and follow me on Instagram, then you'll be able to see that one there. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm definitely going to be back up there to do more portraits, that is for sure. So anyways, I hope that you guys subscribe and like this video as always to help me bust through the algorithm on YouTube. And I would like to share actually a few more images with you that I created after I did this self-portrait when I was just playing around with my 16-35 around flowers. Ollie was there just taking photos of pretty much anything. Anyways, I will talk to you guys again next week. Bye!